Hello everyone, I'm Hari from Melbourne, Australia. Today we are going to kick off our new podcast series called Simplifying Spirituality to bring spirituality into every common man's life through this podcast. As part of this first podcast, we have a wonderful, amazing speaker today with us, who is Justine Sharkie, who is from Melbourne, Australia, who's taking the spirituality and various modalities and helping many souls today on earth. Without any delay, we'll start interacting with her and then learning more about her journey and many things about spirituality. Thank you so much, and let's get into the show. Justin, thank you so much for accepting to do a podcast on our newly defined program, I would say. We are calling this program as Simplify Spirituality, because right now I think in this new age we have the responsibility to say that spirituality is not cult, spirituality is not religious. It is reality and it is simple. So by bringing spirituality into our daily lives is something that is very important for us. So for that we have the responsibility to simplify it. So that's the motto of this show, is what I'm calling, because I like to have a casual chat with the eminent speakers on this platform and then bring forth the simplicity in the spirituality and bring this near to an average man like me who's working, like you, we all who are working, who have kids, who have daily life and everything. So before we start that, we would like to know about your story. Like, you are from Australia, right? So being an Australian, how come you are into the spirituality? What brought you here to this interview and your journey until this interview briefly?
Oh, thank you, first of all, just for having me. And I love this thing of simplicity, because I honestly just believe there's actually a lot of power in simplicity. So I think this is a really special topic. For me, it's funny because I was brought up Catholic, and my parents, I guess, they were not very spiritual, and our spirituality was not really ingrained in our day-to-day life growing up. But there was just something deep inside of me that I always felt like I had a connection. I had it, and when I was little, it was like angels and fairies, and even my imagination felt really spiritual. And so I think I've just had this innate thing inside of me that knew that there was more to this world than just this physical body, mind, like rational. Like, I've definitely never been a rational, linear person. I've always been quite mystical, and that definitely didn't stop as I grew older. So I've had lots of different experiences then in my adulthood that kind of really started to channel my focus more specifically. But I think reflecting driving here, just gratitude for just this innate connection to something bigger than us, because I feel like I'm lucky in the fact that I didn't have to work hard. Although it's been a journey and lots of commitment and work, it hasn't felt like hard work to find it.
Yeah, that's good to know. But at what age have you started this? At least this formal spirituality has kicked you in, even though you had these insights.
Yes, what I'm deeply connected to now, this definitely started in 2020, so 4 years ago.
4 years ago, that's beautiful.
It feels really...
So when you started it, being in West, and when I say West, probably it's not West, but Oceania, in Australia, having a lot of Western culture in here. So have you not faced any social pressure for you getting into this spirituality, and then people around you asking like, how come you are into this? This is cult, or have you faced any such kind of dramas?
Absolutely. So my background is in psychology, so I sort of found a really mainstream way of helping people and talking to people and really connecting people on that deep level through psychology first. So that was sort of like a bridge into this world that was normal for most Westerners to understand. But then as soon as I started going into sort of kinesiology and energy healing and then the deeper spirituality that I do now, that was, I think, confronting for a lot of people. My parents, even especially, like, have no clue. Like, they just say, we do not understand anything that you do. And while I understand that and I'm sort of compassionate to that, it's like, okay, I get that it's not a true reflection of who I am, but I definitely had to, excuse me, it's like my throat's very funny just talking about this, like, because there was, like, deep fear of rejection or deep fear of that, not being understood, not being liked, not being accepted on a deep kind of cellular level that I really had to navigate. And still, I don't think it ever really ends. The more I speak up about my truth, the more I speak up about what I kind of connect to multidimensionally, it's like there's absolutely deep fear of being rejected or being not understood, or because I think we all have that deep desire to be understood.
See, because that's what I see. Like, having said that, my background is India, Asian background, which is more spiritually prone, is what we hear about, right? A lot of meditation culture, even religiously. I myself, when I started this meditation as a teenager, have faced a lot of, I won't say rejection, but like, at this, it's like spirituality is not for your age. Back then, I myself have got a lot of rejection. But I somehow feel that it is because spirituality has been termed as some sort of a cult. Okay, because of the experiences that we may have in meditation. For example, we may get tears in meditation. It's like, why are you having tears, getting tears in your eyes? Like, we may say that, I have seen something, I have this vision. Like, why are you having visions? Because having visions, having these meditational experiences have been understood as cult experiences, right? But thing is, what do you say about it? Like, it's real and simple and straightforward and logical experiences, right?
Absolutely.
So what do you think about it? Like, having these meditational experiences in our daily life.
I feel like there's a lot of conditioning in our that Western culture. We're just not. It's not even like an outward where it's like this is wrong or this is a cult, but it's almost the removal of all spirituality in day-to-day life. Like I was just talking earlier, like I was in India at the start of this year and just arriving at the airport and seeing statues of gods and goddesses just in an airport, and then I had tears in my eyes going, oh my God, like the reverence and the acknowledgement that this is important in our life, and we acknowledge it in an airport compared to Melbourne Airport, which like it's non-existent. And so I think the removal of spirituality, so kids are growing up just with this sterile environment, so I feel like it's the removal of that sense of spirituality that is almost more detrimental than any outward repression of it, although there is that as well. It's interesting that when you were just talking, this memory came through for me when I was in my early 20s and I volunteered for Grief Lines. It's like a lifeline volunteer service, but for people going through grief. And the beautiful older women in their 60s and 70s were the teachers, and they had worked in grief and palliative care for most of their career and helping people through those later stages of life. And I remember one of the teachers said to me that she was in her late 60s and all of her friends that herself had dedicated her life to understanding herself and processing emotions and being connected to something greater than herself. And so she was in her 60s like feeling so connected and at peace with who she was and knowing that she'd lived a life of purpose. And her friends all around her, Australian women who had lived their whole life into their 60s, were going through these absolute midlife or later life crises and these deep voids in their life that they'd never sort of touched on. And so she would just, there was almost this off the cuff comment, like my friends are going through these deep crises. And I remember I was in my early 20s and this voice, my own voice, kind of struck through me. And I just said, I will never, like, I do not want to live my life and get to 60 not knowing who I am, not living a life of deeper connection and understanding. And it's like I made this vow to myself, like, that will not be me. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. And so it's like, it's actually heartbreaking to think that maybe the majority of people live their life and get to that point in their life where they get to those ending years, and then they have that realization. And we were talking just before, like, you waste your whole life. Like, what are we here for?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem that I see with this whole thing is people feel that spirituality is only for old age people. That's mostly the misconception that we need to break. And also, one other biggest misconception that I want to discuss with you today shortly is meditation and spirituality kills all the fun. You see, that's the biggest blocker for this, not just in Western world, I would say, like, it's everywhere across the world. I don't know where this kicked in, like, but meditation kills all the fun. See, we are funny, okay? So absolutely. So we do have all the things, like, what does meditation kills? Is one big question that we all need to answer. Do you think meditation actually kills anything that stops us from being fun and interesting?
Absolutely not. And I have this little saying sometimes when I'm teaching meditation, because we can go into our inner world and there are universes and universes and universes of information and experiences that we have once we close our eyes. And yes, like, it takes practice to get to that point, but it can also be that interesting on our first meditation experience. And I have this little saying, like, who needs TV when we can just close our eyes and just experience the truth of ourselves, the truth of reality? Like, we can create anything in our own, own body.
So when we understand ourselves more in terms of when we operate at our highest potential, both mentally and physically through meditation, then we can have more fun, we'll have more energy, we'll have more time to live. Like, one thing that personally I have experienced through meditation is, like, meditation reduces the sleep time a lot. It gives more energy, and that gives me more time to watch a Netflix series if needed, meditation. Like, I feel that it makes us more interesting. I have more friends and I have more people. But what it kills is the all uninteresting things in us, like the people who are uninteresting and the situations which are, like, not for us, which doesn't belong to us, is what it killed me. All the waste has gone out of my life, and all the interesting stuff that kicked into my life. So that's what I felt like. Meditation is fun. Meditation and spirituality is fun, and you don't need to stop doing anything. Just meditate and live your life, and that takes care of it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's beautiful. And from here, coming again from and back in India or back in East, mostly what I see is the whole spirituality has been perceived as religious, which actually has limited the scope of spirituality in many ways. But looking at this science, thanks to the West, when the West has embraced this spirituality, they started seeing this whole spirituality, combining it with science. That's what I loved about this, because otherwise it's all like, philosophy. It became a spirit. So it came into reality only when the West comes in my point of view, wherein you are one of it, like, who does practice a lot of modalities. So one such modality that kicked in my interest is like this quantum embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, such a strong framing of the concept, I would say. Like, what do you do in this quantum embodiment, and what is it for an average man? You know, like, let's not talk in a big terms in terms of what is it for a random man who's walking on the road and driving the car. Like, what is quantum embodiment means to him, and what do you do?
Yeah, so quantum embodiment essentially means a connection to your deeper self, which is beyond the 3D physical self. So we've got a 3D self, and then we are multidimensional. We have many different aspects of ourselves that are our true selves. So that's where the sort of quantum comes in, this greater aspect of ourselves, or this deeper truth of who we are. And the embodiment of that is, it's not somewhere outside of you, it's not somewhere off in like fairyland. We can practice and experience that multidimensional self inside the body, inside this present moment, inside of our life, and see it play out in our life through not only creating this connection to our inner selves, but then how our inner self is just, our outer life is a reflection of that inner self. And so some of the more magical things that can happen is that we have this alignment, we come into this connection with a true desire that we have a thought about that, like I desire this, and then in a very short amount of time see it or create it in our outer reality. And so we become the creators of our life through our inner intention and through our inner connection to ourselves. And so the process essentially of that is being present with what is in the moment. This isn't only being happy and only being spiritual, like, smell these flowers all day. It's actually being present with the truth of this moment, which could be deep pain, could be rage, could be grief. Like, whatever is present in my body now is the doorway into my deeper self. And so I don't know if anyone is looking out at the state of our world right now and thinking this is okay, because it's not. Like, I've got deep rage, deep grief about what's happening in the world. But instead of suppressing that or having a drink or buying something on the internet to kind of divert my attention from that pain, I become present with it. I teach my body how to be safe, to witness that, to be in that energy, to just be present with what is. And so not making anything wrong, but just holding space for it. And through that process of connecting to whatever is true, both the light and the shadow of ourselves, that's the doorway. We just walk through that doorway, we become connected to that, and then it's through the doorway of those pains that we find deeper truth of who we are. So it becomes this like never-ending cycle, essentially navigating the shadow and the light of ourselves to just awaken our own consciousnness.
Beautiful. This is really good, because I think most of us does the same. Like, we do things to divert ourselves, like, you know, have food to divert ourselves, have a drink to divert ourselves, watch a movie to divert ourselves. Instead, after knowing ourselves and then understanding ourselves through meditation, quantum embodiment and all these programs, we will eat for eating only, not to divert from anything. We drink to have fun having a glass of drink, you know, not to divert ourselves. And then we watch a movie to enjoy the movie, not to divert for ourselves.
Like choosing those things consciously.
Exactly, consciously, and then doing it for actually doing it, not for diverting from anything else, you know. That's something thought-provoking, and absolutely that's what is needed for a random person, right? For anyone, like, you know, we should stop diverting ourselves, and then we should start enjoying what we are doing. And that's a beautiful program, I would say, like, for anyone.
And even we could be taking that action, but just having the awareness. Like, I go to the cupboard all the time and eat chocolate because my kids are driving me crazy, or like it's like I'm human. So, but I'm saying to myself, I'm eating this chocolate because I'm struggling right now to just hold all of this emotion. And so even just having awareness is, you know, more helpful for us than just unconsciously doing it. And so I definitely like scroll on my phone sometimes because I'm like, I just need a like break. And so but I'm consciously kind of doing that. So there's not even a wrong, you know, there's nothing wrong here. It's just the whole human spectrum is valid. Yeah.
That's exactly like, you know, meditation doesn't kill anything. It doesn't stop us from scrolling phone, but you know, it makes us be aware, like whatever that we do, and then it makes us be accountable to whatever that we do in our life, right? So, and great masters like you has been doing amazing work, helping many people in this space, and then come out of their traumas, rages, and fears and everything, and not to fake their emotions. Like, you know, people don't accept their emotions and what they are. Many of us, like, you know, I don't want to accept that I'm angry. I have this anger in me, and instead I justify myself most of the time for my anger. You know?
We love making it someone else's fault.
What I see many times is like, you know, we get so much used to our not just positives, our negatives as well. Like, we don't want to leave it.
Right.
So you know,
we're literally on a biological level, like addicted to those emotions and chemicals.
And so even though that anger is not so much helpful for us, even though that whatever negative emotions or energy depleting emotions is what I call, like, you know, bad eating disorder could be, you know, it could be an emotional thing. It could be bonding, attachment, and all these things. So, at one point, we become aware that we are suffering from them, but we are so addicted to them that even after knowing, it's hard to leave them.
Sure.
Like, how can I not be angry? So I think so. Those are the aspects that your quantum embodiment program can, you know, make them become aware, go with it, and then be more sensitive, and then release them. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think even just on the back of what you said, such a core quality, not only for quantum embodiment, but a core quality for life, is just having compassion for ourselves. So wherever we are, sometimes when we step on a spiritual path, all of our crap comes up. So it's actually can be a really challenging, confronting process for somebody to step on that, because everything that they've been pushing down does come up. And so I think just having compassion for ourselves wherever we are on the journey, whether we're unconscious or very conscious or trapped in a pattern that we can't seem to stop and get out of, I just think compassion is just always the best medicine, because
I think compassion.
Human, it's hard being human.
Exactly. So I think compassion can fix every problem on earth, in my point of view. Like all the wars, all the hatred that we have, all these, you know, differentiation of these races and everything can just be fixed with compassion. You know, it's just that simple tick, and that is there in meditation. So, and that makes us more interesting to be able to interact with everyone on earth, like, you know, and to be able to travel anywhere, to be able to see the beautiful places anywhere openly, you know. So that's beautiful. And another interesting aspect that I know of you is this light language, you know. So what is it? And it is definitely termed as a cult aspect. Because I have
to the cult.
Exactly. It's like, you know, you need to having that light language thing is like, you know, they talk something and they say that they're accessing some energies and everything. So can you please simplify it for a common man, explain about light language to a layman?
Yes. So I guess our human language, whether we speak English, French, German, that is the language of our mind. So we obviously, like, we're speaking English right now, we're understanding each other and we're communicating through this human language. Light language is essentially the language of our soul. And so it doesn't come with words that have a meaning, like the words I'm saying now mean something specific. It comes with an energy. It comes encoded with information that is beyond the understanding of the rational mind, and it comes with information that, so you could receive. Say, I'll explain some of what these words mean in a second, but you could just receive a stream or a little download of light language and instantly just have a knowing that's beyond, like have a knowing about more like a reality, like a deeper part of reality. And so that's what I just am fascinated with. Light language is the language of our soul, the language of our multidimensional selves, how we touched on later, and going beyond the mind to have a greater understanding of what our rational mind can understand and communicate, but having a knowing and a connection. And essentially, it's the language of love. It's the language of a higher consciousness, whether that's our own higher selves, God, the universe, source energy, whatever we believe in and connect to. It's the information that comes from that place within ourselves. And so, and I know there's like a lot of, YouTubers or whatever that have light language and they're doing all those things, and that's definitely one way, and a lot of people do like this symbol, that's light language, like there's information encoded within this that represent information within the cosmos, within this natural seasons and cycles of the cosmos. But I honestly believe that we're all light language. Like in this moment right now, we are channeling, we are, like when we're connected to our heart, can you feel that now? If we just drop into our heart, and if the listeners drop in to their heart and just feel that energy on a more subtle level than what we understand with the mind, like that's light language right now.
Absolutely. So what's coming from inside is light language, but absolutely the way that people express that light language as is, that's what, when people don't understand something, that becomes cult in this world. So I think it's more of branding something, because our mind and the way that we frame this society is like, when we don't know something, try to brand it as or put it into some sort of a subjective box. So before doing that, I feel that we should validate it properly and then do it. And then light language is something that's wonderful, where you would be able to have that modality to be able to access that information coming from up there, and then giving those gifts to the people on earth is a beautiful work that you're doing. And thank you so much for throwing insight on that, and I hope this clears many people's predefined notion of, or a myth of saying that light language is cult. No, it's not cult, it's real. It's just accessing that information from a computer, go to Google and then, search for this and then find out and read what it is. And that's about it. So that's beautiful. So we, in meditation or in your thing, so breath has a very much importance given to it. Like we access everything through breath. We say first thing when we sit for meditation, any sort of meditation, people say, take deep breaths, or someone says observe your breath, someone says count your breaths. It's around breath, right? So end of the day. So what do you think is the importance that breath has in spirituality and meditation?
I think there's two key things for me personally that are probably the most important to talk about when we talk about breath. So breath, first of all, is really this bridge between our physical world and this mental and this physical body, this 3D world, and our multidimensional. So when we breathe, our physical body is moved, our physical organs are getting breath, like it's literally keeping our physical body alive. But the breath is also this bridge to connect us to our spiritual selves, our multidimensional selves. And so just using the bridge as a tool to go from this physical 3D linear world into the multidimensional, I think is probably the most easy to access, most simple way to access that deeper part of ourselves. But I also feel like breath is, and specific types of breath is so important to cultivate safety within the body. And I think that safety within the body is the absolute foundation for everything else in life, especially in spirituality and in healing, we will never make the changes we want to make unless we feel safe to do so. We'll never go for the big dreams and goals we have in our life unless we feel safe. We'll never be the person we know we have the potential to be unless we feel safe to be that person. And so breath, and I'll share this, my favourite breath practice to cultivate safety in the body. It's so so simple, which is why I love it. Is just a simple, and you might have some beautiful practices as well that you want to share, but just a simple nose breath. So in through the nose, out through the nose, having the intention to smooth out the breath on every inhalation and exhalation, and then playing at the edges of the breath, so breathing in and just noticing what you notice when you're at the capacity of the inhale, and notice your patterns of what your mind does when you're at capacity, feeling safe there, and then breathing out and playing at that capacity of the exhale and just noticing what you notice there, and and that is sending a deep message into our whole nervous system that you are safe now.
So, such a beautiful word that I caught in this is like breath makes us feel that inner safety, right? So that is so beautiful insight that I have got. Like, I've heard breath connects us to ourselves and everything, but thing is, we feel safe when we are with the breath is something that I'm absolutely connected to, because that's exactly how I feel, because that's where I feel my life. That's where I feel like when I'm with my breath, whatever breath practice we do, like, soften, be with it, and then, or do a diaphragmatic breathing or whatever it is, the moment we tap into breath, we feel life there. We feel that we are safe. We are with our mother. We are with the source, because I think that's what gives us life. So your insight into that is that safety feeling of that breath gives is absolutely a gem, I would say. So thanks so much for throwing that insight.
I love that connection with the mother as well. You're 100% right. That safety with the mother is just profound. I just want to sit here and breathe the rest of the time.
No, this is absolutely beautiful. So, why do you think that everyone on earth should meditate, or do you feel the need of this meditation for everyone on earth right now? If so, why?
Absolutely. I think everyone is obviously connected to their own journey and has absolute free will to to choose that path for themselves whenever they are ready. But if I could just wave a magic wand and get my own wish for the earth and humanity, it would absolutely be that people really find this connection to themselves. And in whatever way that comes up. My husband probably will never really meditate in his life, but he goes fishing, and he's just, when he's on the water and when he's just tuned into the fish, like that is his meditation. So it doesn't necessarily have to be eyes closed in a room on your own, but I think some form of connection to the natural world, I think, is medicine for everybody. And really, like, we are at a pivotal moment in Earth's history, in the evolution of humanity, and I think there's some monumental shifts happening at the level of consciousness, at the level of society, at the level of our DNA. Like, so many things are shifting right now, and I think the more people that are connecting to themselves and emitting that truth, that breath, that information, it's helping every single person evolve on the planet. We're really at a time of awakening, and we need every single person in their own way to be contributing to that awakening.
Absolutely. No. So it is not a luxury anymore in this world. It is a need, in my point of view, to be able to find ourselves, and that's what this evolution that you're calling is also pushing all of us towards.
Yes. It's guiding us to do it, but it's also requiring us to do it.
Absolutely. So, as a representation from the Western society, and then bringing up yourself, why I'm saying this again and again is because I see that need of in Australia, especially for everyone to meditate, being an Australian. And then even though I am an Indian origin, like, I have taken and then respecting this country, and then taken the citizenship here, and I'm living here, and this is my country now. So what I have got is and what is you have embraced and many others have embraced is something that I feel that every Australian should meditate. Every person on earth should meditate. So knowing this country so well, what message that you would like to give to this country as a whole towards meditation?
Yeah, I feel like we're in a it's interesting. I feel like there's two kind of timelines playing out. On one hand, there's so many people waking up and seeing the importance and making these changes in their own way, which I think is, just so amazing, and just, thank God for that. But then there's this other timeline playing out, which I think is really, really scary, and the levels of mental health, the levels of our children presenting with mental health, and addiction to devices and everything that comes along with that, I think is truly scary. So watching this next generation come up in a side of the world that we never had, I think is just very scary. And I honestly do believe the only way through this is to create connection with our spirit. Like, it's actually the only cure to depression, to anxiety, to addiction, to all of these things is a reconnection to our spirit. And so, I feel like I've got this mission with you as well. Like, how do we spread? How do we start to build this momentum and help? Like, it's easy to connect with people that already already know, but how do we connect with the people that don't know yet, that are asleep? And
exactly. So that's a big mission. And then as you said, one big thing that I see here is the depression that smaller kids are going through, and the stress that they are going through right now, because the younger generation is the future of this country, future of any country in a way. So we have to imbibe this meditation and spirituality from the childhood, in my point of view. And then I'm glad that we are going to work together to take this forward in our way. So having said that, what is your purpose of this life, spiritual purpose of this life? What's your insight into what your work is going to be?
I had this experience a couple of years ago now. I was having a dream, but I knew it was more than a dream, and it was so stereotypical. I was walking up to the gates of heaven, and I was walking up to the gates, and God, whoever that is, said to me, you've got if you could have one last wish, what do you wish? And I kind of looked back to earth and humanity, and I just said, I just want them to know the light that lives inside of them. And so I feel like that sums up my purpose. Like, everyone I meet, whether it's a group of people or individually, or my kids or my husband or my best friend going through a hard time, it's like, I just want people to truly know the light that lives within them. And then however I can reflect that back, or whatever words I could offer, or a space that I could hold for them to just discover that within themselves, is, I think, then the more people doing that, then that's the pathway. Like I said before, like, how do we do it? How do we do this? It's like, that's the path. It's one person by one person, reflecting, holding space, being the light in our own lives, and being the example is just how we do it.
Beautiful, amazing. So the way that you have put in this whole thing as your purpose is amazing, I would say. Like, I hope one day we'll see everyone meditate on earth, and then we can join the fun.
Yay! That's the real party.
Exactly. So just kind of a quick. So Breath Universe is a community which also spreads the science of breath and meditation to everyone. It's again exactly in line with the theme of simplifying spirituality. Spirituality, end of the day, comes back to breath. If you can read books, if you can meet people, if you can listen to people, and then do modalities, but if you connect to breath, at least that keeps us into the arena, and then we'll understand. So we have 4 pillars, is what we call from Breath Universe. That is, I call it bell, ringing the bell,
I love it.
breath, energy, love, and light.
Oh,
Okay?
I love that.
So I thought of asking every guest as a simple, rapid fire,
Yeah.
one word about breath.
Got 2. Safety.
Oh, yes.
Safety and love.
Oh, beautiful. Safety and love. Energy,
Love.
love, and love.
Yeah.
God, that's a beautiful connection. I just love it. And light,
Everything.
everything. That is beautifully said and summarized. See, these are the 4 pillars on which we all stand on to. Like, once we tap into breath, we tap into energy. Once we tap into more energy, we tap into love automatically. And then once there is so much love in us and it overflows, that's what light is,
I love that.
So that's the way of the forming that we had, and that was a lovely conversation. We learned so much about I mean, meditation is simple and straightforward, and it is required for everyone. And then I focused a little bit about requirement of meditation for everyone on earth, and also West, especially, as we are still learning how to meditate, and then taking this forward to summarize. So, and your work of quantum embodiment and light language is some couple of modalities which are very unique and very scientific, and everyone, I'm sure, needs it. So we'll be providing the details of your details to the audience, and whoever needs it can definitely contact you and then get in there and clear their things. And such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for joining. It was our pleasure to have you on this show, Simplified Spirituality. Lots of gratitude, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel so grateful too.
Thank you.
Beautiful conversation.
Thanks.